Okay. Welcome. Welcome to our next chat for management theories. And hopefully, let's see. Go back in here and share that again. All right. Hopefully, you are ready for week number 3 when you listen to this in the archives. Again, the reason that this is being recorded in week number 2, hello, I can see that Allison is here, is because during week number 3, um, I'm going to be traveling to an area where I'm told that doing live streaming meetings won't work. So to not take a chance of not being able to record something for you guys, I am recording it ahead of time, turning it into a YouTube video and posting them in the news forum so that you can listen to them at will. Now, I understand that, if you listen to this earlier than week number 3, it may be a little bit hard to understand. You may not understand everything that we're talking about because you haven't gotten there yet, and that's just fine. But you'll be able to go back and listen to it more than once if need be. All right, so in week number 3, just like all the other weeks of the term, we have a live session. And again, if you're not here live, then this is where you click to be able to do your summary and get it posted. And then you have 2 discussion boards, one due on Wednesday, one due on Friday, as well as a quiz for week 3. Once again, I think that if you wait until a little bit later on in the week to do the quiz, it serves you better. And an assignment. So let's go ahead and take a look at these 3 items, the 2 discussions and the assignment, and talk about them a little bit so that you will have some hints and tips on how to go out and do your research. Okay, so discussion question number 3 for next week, for week number 3, is why is it important for organizations to embrace diversity and pursue equal opportunity? What is the business social case? What is good about diversity and what is not so good about diversity? Well, there are many ways to look at diversity, and I think that one of the things that everybody has to understand is that if you look around the room when you're in a classroom, or you look around an office where you may work, it's very rare that you see someone who looks like you, who comes from the exact same background and has had the same experiences. And so diversity is a reality in the business world. Technology is making it easier for people to travel and move around. It used to be that you were born in one place and probably went to school there, worked there, got married, had your children, and ended your life in the same place. Now, people are much more mobile. People start out growing up in one area of the country and end up in a different area, or people grow up in a foreign country and move to the United States and vice versa. So people are a lot more mobile, which makes diversity something that we see much more than we did even if you were to turn the clock back 20, 30, or 50 years ago. So diversity is here to stay. The world with technology and the internet has made business 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Just because you might be on vacation or it might be Thanksgiving in the United States doesn't mean that all of your customers are celebrating, especially if you have international customers. Guess what? Thanksgiving in the United States doesn't mean anything to them. So for them, it's just another Thursday in November. So you are going to have diverse customers, diverse competition, diverse suppliers, and diverse coworkers. So those aspects, I think, are not going to go away. What is good and not so good about diversity in an organization? Well, sometimes in an organization, having less diversity can be a good thing if everybody is on the same page and comes at problems the same way. If you just want consensus and you want to more easily come to decisions, then having a homogeneous group who thinks quite a bit alike, maybe comes from the same background and has the same experience in a certain topic, is probably going to make for faster, quicker decisions. Does that mean they're going to be the best decisions? Not necessarily. But if it's about quick, then having a group that is not so diverse is probably going to be easier. If you want to have all different points of view, if you want to take into consideration how many other people will look at your product or service, then having a diverse group of employees is excellent. So there are many different reasons that you might want diversity or not so much in your organization. But please go out and do some research on this. And also it says, embracing diversity and pursuing equal opportunity. Well, guess what? There are federal and state laws out there about companies providing equal opportunity. Equal opportunity to people of different races, different backgrounds, religions, from different social groups, from different genders, from different points of view. So there are laws that tell people that you must treat men and women the same as far as in the workplace. Also, if they are doing substantially the same work, men and women are supposed to be paid the same inside of the same company. That's not to say that from one company to another, they're not paid the same, but inside a company, if you have a man doing the work and you have a woman doing substantially the same work, then they should be being paid equal amounts. So there are good reasons to look for diverse populations inside of a company, and there are some really good legal reasons why you would want to pursue equal opportunity when it comes to employment in your company. All right, so that's a little bit about the first discussion board. Let's look at your Friday discussion board. Any questions that you have, Allison? Any questions? I don't know if you found the chat. See, look at that. You found it. Okay. Not right now. Okay, excellent. Okay, so discussion number, great. Discussion board number 2, due on Friday of week 3. Explain what is meant by corporate social responsibility and the reasons that organizations pursue CSR strategies. Corporate social responsibility is this concept of looking at at more than just money as being the bottom line as to how successful a company is. So if you take a pure economic approach to business, economists say businesses exist in order to make a profit for the people who started the business and took the risk to create the business. And social responsibility says, let's look at more than just profit as measurements of the success of a company. If a company is successful, they're successful because of their employees, they're successful because of the community that they're part of, they are successful because of the customers that come in their doors, they're successful because of the great vendors that they have. The bottom line is it's not just all about profit. and the shareholders who own the company. It should be about stakeholders as well. And stakeholders are people who don't necessarily own part of your company, but they are people who have a stake in the company doing well. So that's what's meant by corporate social responsibility. What can companies do to be good corporate neighbors? What can they do to give back to the community? Well, it can be things like sponsoring a 5K run for breast cancer awareness. Or it can be something like you see McDonald's sponsors the building of the Ronald McDonald Houses, which are houses near women and children's hospitals where family and kids who are well enough to be out of the hospital but not well enough to be far away from the hospital can stay while they're getting treatment. Those are some examples. If you are a company and you sponsor a little league team in your town, that is an example of corporate social responsibility. If you are giving a day where you give free products back to your customers, that is a form of social responsibility. Now, why do companies pursue CSR strategies? Well, there's a lot of theories out there. One of them is that companies do it because they really want to be philanthropic and they really want to give back to the people who have made them successful. And that is a great reason for a company to pursue some of these CSR campaigns. There are other people out there who are a little more cynical and they say, well, corporate social responsibility really is about a company trying to get good press. Because if you go out and you do something for the community and you get good press, that's going to translate into more people being happy with you and probably more business. So some people say, really, all social responsibility is a marketing ploy. It's a way for me to get my face out there in the community doing something nice so that people feel good about me and want to come and do more business with my company. There are other people out there that say that companies usually only do CSR campaigns when they've done something wrong. They've done something wrong, and so now they're trying to make things right and cover up what they've done wrong by doing something good. And they figure if they can get people back on their side, then people may forget about that thing that they did that maybe wasn't so ethical or so great. Still, others say that companies only do it when they're forced into it. That maybe if they see everybody else in the industry is doing it, they figure, oh, gee, I better do it too, or I'm going to lose business. So it's not that they're doing it because they really want to, but it's more like I better do it because everybody else is. I need to keep up with what other competition inside of my industry is doing. So the bottom line is we want you to take a look at corporate social responsibility, do some research about it, and talk about these various reasons that companies pursue CSR strategies. Again, what we talked about just a few minutes ago and this are both discussion questions. They involve you posting at least 250 words of substantive information about the topics, and then that you go back and do at least 2 great comments to your classmates. Try to spread it out so that if you see that one of your classmates has gotten a lot of comments and another one hasn't, try going and commenting to someone who doesn't have as many comments. That will help everybody grow. We have a fairly small class here, and as such, it's important that people participate as much as possible so that you can all be part of helping each other have a very successful term. Okay, then of course you've got your quiz and the week 3 assignment. This week 3 assignment, like all of the others that you've seen so far, should be APA formatted. It should be 500 to 600 words, and it should cite at least one source that is not your textbook. Using your textbook is great, but remember, your text is just one of the many sources that we have out there. You've got the internet and the power of the internet to help you do more research. You've got your own personal experience and libraries, databases, all kinds of things. So this paper is about discrimination. Identify how women may be discriminated against in the workplace and discuss the organizational consequences of such discriminatory behavior. What is the glass ceiling problem, and what are the main approaches to the management of gender diversity in organizations? Finally, list 5 possible actions that can be taken at an organizational level to provide a fairer framework of working conditions. So you can see you've got several different questions here. You've got identify how women may be discriminated against in the workplace. That's 1. Discuss the organizational consequences of discriminatory behavior. That's 2. What's the glass ceiling problem? That's 3. What are the main approaches to the management of gender diversity in organizations? That's 4. And then listing 5 possible actions that can be taken at an organizational level to provide a fair framework of working conditions. That is 6. So there's really 1, 2, 3, 4, did I say 5 or 6 items that you are going to be working on. So hitting 500 to 600 words should not be a problem. Again, there is a ton of information out there. For those of you who are women, you may have experienced some discrimination along the way. And for those of you who are not, you may have seen women be discriminated against, or you may have a spouse, a significant other, a friend, a mother, a sister who has been discriminated against, and you can tell their story. Make sure that you are citing sources of research. Even if you go out and do a personal interview with your mother, then you would want to cite that as one of the sources of research for this paper. Okay? And again, there are tons and tons of sources for you to find. There is no lack of information on any of these topics. Discrimination against women is something that has been legislated against. Starting back in the 1960s, there's the Equal Pay Law that said that if a woman works inside of a company and does substantially the same work as a man, she needs to be paid the same inside of that organization. Again, when you start looking at different organizations within an industry, you won't find that to necessarily be the case. And from industry to industry, you may find that there's not equal pay. The consequences, well, you have to be careful. Companies can be taken to court. Employment discrimination, gender discrimination in employment is a form of employment discrimination. And you could be taken to court and sued over it if it is blatant or even not so blatant. What's the glass ceiling problem? The glass ceiling is the concept that women can only get to a certain level in organizations and then they're done. That there is a glass imaginary ceiling that women hit their head on going up the corporate ladder, and that they are not able to rise above that glass ceiling based on perceptions that people have about the differences in the way that men and women do work. What are the main approaches to management of gender diversity in an organization? If you have a company that you've worked with that's done a really good job empowering women, you can feel free to write about it in this paper. What are 5 actions that could be taken inside of a company to ensure that there is a fair framework of working conditions? This is talking about discrimination. We're talking about women, but you know what? There's also discrimination that goes on because of people's gender identity, because of people's religion, because of education levels that people have. Even though many forms of discrimination are illegal, that doesn't mean it's not happening. And there may be more of it out there than you think. People with disabilities. Lots of places now are saying that you must accommodate people with disabilities. The Americans with Disabilities Act said that employers have to make reasonable accommodations for their employees that have disabilities. So take a look at some of that information, and but keep in mind that gender discrimination is not the only one that's out there and that is actionable. But this paper asks you to address the topic of gender discrimination. Okay, let me ask Allison, do you have any questions? Questions, comments, or concerns about week number 3? Again, this is going to be posted in a YouTube. In week number 5, we will look to have a meeting that takes place in an evening time frame so that everybody can come in and ask questions about the final exam. You can feel free. Go ahead, Allison. You can feel free to, whoops. Let me go back to sharing my screen. You can feel free to go ahead and listen to it again if that will help. No questions? Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and end this meeting so I can upload the recording, turn them into the lovely YouTubes so that everybody else can listen to them. Allison, I'll go in later on tonight and give you participation for attending. All right, so everybody have a great week number 2, and on to week number 3 next week. I will be available by internet the next couple weeks. I'm going to be traveling, and there may be some areas where the internet is not so good. So if you don't hear right back to me, give it a little bit, and I will, as soon as I'm able to establish a good connection, I will try to check my email at least once a day, and there will be days where I'm in areas where I have better reception, and I'll be doing grading and looking at other questions and comments. Okay? All right, so take care. Did you see my post about the way the guys post their original post? No, I didn't see that, Allison. I saw some came up twice, the way they posted, and I made comments to them on things that they can do for next week. So I'll have to, was that in week number 1 that you made that comment? Okay. I'll go back in and take a look and see what that comment was that you made. Okay. Any other questions? Everything good? If so, I'm going to end this. Oh, they were replying to your post. Okay. All right. I will, I'll take a look. Okie doke. All right. So take care. Make it a great week, and I will look forward to speaking with all of you again in week number 5. Take care. Bye-bye.